Anybody here can get it. Treat the game like a scrimmage now. Mess up you with the flow. I swear nigga got no limits now. I've been ballin' for a minute. Whole team full of winners. Anybody here can get it. Get tuned into the realest now. Anybody here can get it. Treat the game like a scrimmage now. Mess up here with the flow. I swear nigga got no limits.
Hey
now.
team, welcome to Off the Platform, episode 10. Who would have thought we'd get to 10 episodes of just chatting shit?
You said that about 9 as well. We said it about 9, 8.
Yeah, 7. We said that about 2, I think.
Who would have thought we would have made it to 2?
Yeah.
Here we are, 10 episodes in.
Here we are with, obviously me, Jackson Hinch, and my co-host, Greg Turrell. How are you, Greg?
Very good, thank you. Better than you, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Bright and early on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So, we're bright and early on a Sunday morning to make up for some time difference. We've got my mate Dave Beattie from the UK on with us today. How are you, Dave?
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, good, Jackson. You?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. You just got us up that a bit early, but it's all right.
That's good. Been about 18 months since we saw each other, I think.
Yeah, it's been a fucking ages. So Dave, we were saying before, Dave actually took me to the airport as I left the UK. So it was
just to make sure you left.
Just to make sure I actually got on the plane. He didn't want to see me around anymore.
Get rid of that fucker.
So some of our listeners won't know Dave. He's a big name in the UK powerlifting scene, not so much in the New Zealand powerlifting scene, but internationally, Dave is probably, you'd be pretty well known internationally, wouldn't you, Dave, as well, with the multi-ply?
Yeah, I'm old, so I've been around for a while.
Been around for a long time. Your name's popped up.
Yeah.
So I trained with Dave when I was in the UK, probably for, I want to say, just over a year.
Yeah, it is.
How long were you in the UK for, mate?
I was in the UK for just over 2 years, or 2 years basically, and then a bit of traveling either side. So for most of my time in the UK, I was training with Dave over at Genesis Gym. Shameless plug, great gym. If you're in London, it's the gym to train at for strength, bodybuilding, pretty much anything. Make sure you get your tetanus shot before you go in, you know. But no, it's great. It's dumbbells from 1 kilo up to 150 kilos, you know. I think he's got some,
We've got some background.
Got the background music in there.
Yeah, great. Don't know what's going on, guys.
This is the kind of shit we have to edit out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
That's funny.
There we go.
Good.
Going to go on.
But yeah, dumbbells from 1 kilo up to 150. And also, I think, Dave, how many? Yeah.
You got a 150 kilo dumbbell.
150 kilo dumbbells, man. 2 of them.
How big is that?
Oh, it's...
They're I don't know. They must 18
I mean,
inches.
is it? Where's all the plates?
It's long.
Those are hard on the wrists, eh? I remember. I've never seen 150, but I've seen 100, and the bloody thing was like, you know, this big on each side, and you'd have to have really strong wrists, which I'm sure you do, Jackson. But you'd have to have strong wrists to be able to, because it would wobble a bit, you know.
The dumbbells that Dave has at his gym are actually made by Watson, which is, I don't know if you've heard of them, Greg, but they're quite especially again in the UK. And they're what Aussie Strength Coach has at his gym as well. They're quite a well-known brand for gym equipment. Very, very good quality gym equipment.
Is it a plug there for Watson's? And
I suppose, mate, I'll take any sponsorship we can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 dumbbells in the post now.
Yeah. We did take a picture and put it in.
Giving up on Pepsi.
Yeah, and then also, you know, just everything. Reverse hyper, GHR, every machine you can think of.
I'll see you got some hammer strength too, Dave. You got all the good stuff.
Got some. Yep. Yeah, I've had the gym 25 years now, and the hammer strength was the first stuff we bought, and it's just it's the old hammer strength. It's absolutely solid.
It just lasts forever, doesn't it?
Yeah. I've got that, and I've got some stuff called Strive, which again was really old, but it's loaded. You've got different loading points, and I don't know about you guys, but I find that most of the old stuff is robust and lasts.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, they make it to break these days because they want the maintenance fees and
of course they do. Of course they do.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got some stones, powerlifting gear. Yeah,
we've got stones up to 180 now, going from 40 kilos up to 180. Got logs, tires, farmers walks. We quite often hold London's strongest man, which I think Jackson did pretty well, didn't you, Jackson?
Yeah, did all right. That was 2018.
Yeah.
2018.
You become London's strongest man.
Was that was a big turnout, or
there was probably 20 people in the class.
20 people, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in that open class, eh? How many in the whole comp for that one, Dave?
105.
105. See, Greg, I told you it wasn't a made-up comp.
Well, I thought,
something.
I figured it was something you guys decided to do on the day, and maybe two or three guys.
It was a big comp.
In the gym.
It was a big comp. I mean,
one of those
Jack's
gym TVs.
Just a shame we never stayed to defend it. But
yeah, it was one of those ones. I was almost tempted to fly back over just to cement it, 2-time.
Well,
but no, now I'm just a
you could have in 2019, eh? Obviously, 2020 would have been fucked.
Yeah, I mean, Jack's won the overall British in 2018, and I think my words at the end of the comp was, "You know what you're doing in January, don't you, Jax?" And he went, "What?" I said, "You're doing London Australia." He went, No, that's not my thing. And obviously, a few weeks gentle persuasion, and he went in and cleaned up.
Nice.
Yeah, I said to Dave, mate, I'll enter the novice class because I'd never done a strongman comp before. I said to Dave, I'll just enter the novice class. Dave's like, mate, no one gives a fuck if you win the novice class. Into the open. And I was like,
yeah.
All right, well, I'll just get my ass handed to me, but it's all right, whatever.
Yeah, and then you didn't know, obviously.
Then, there we are.
Yeah. What were the lifts? What were the lifts from memory?
We had a 280 squat with a cambered bar. So we had 200.
That was
I
disgusting.
think we had 220 kilo bar weight, and we had 70 kilo chains, so it's 290.
Yeah.
A squat for reps in a minute.
Oh.
We had, was it max deadlift we had?
No, it was deadlifts for reps in a minute at 280.
Oh, right, yeah, okay. And then we had obviously stone run. We had a farmer's hold. We had to hold 150 kilo farmers.
Yeah.
For as long as you could.
And then a log for reps.
A log, yeah. 120, 40 kilo log.
It was 125 or 130.
Yeah, it was 130, yeah.
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 But I think I nailed the squat and the deadlift. And then going into the log, I mean, I got to go last, but I'd trained for about 2 weeks, so.
Did you not balance one? Didn't you balance one on the top of your head?
Yeah, actually. So we had one of Dave's mates. Actually, we had one of the lads, Lawrence Chalet. You would have heard that before, Greg.
I've heard that name, yeah.
Yeah, so actually we have to get him on here at some stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy, but he was reffing. And, get 1 rep in, good. 2 reps in, good. Get the 3rd rep in, and I'm like, get off my chest. And obviously my head's fucking enormous. So
you can still see the dent in the top where the earphones are.
Where it hit it. As I'm pushing, I push my head through and I catch the log on my head and I still keep pushing and I lock it out. And he's like, no rep. And I drop it and I give him the filthiest look, even though he could eat me for breakfast. And he's like, he starts touching his head. And I was like, what's wrong with my head? Nothing's wrong with my head. And but because I touched my head, it didn't count.
Okay. It's kind of like a lapping, but you use your head instead, eh?
Yeah. So I tried to hitch a log press. How good?
That was how good.
Who would have thought?
I don't know. Was even in the rule book, eh? You probably just can't touch any part of your body, eh?
It's just straight. Yeah, it just has to be clean lockout.
Jeez, Jackson, you're having to go at the refs, eh? Who would have thought?
you know me, mate. Question everything.
I know, eh? Yeah.
But and actually Dave also has, this is the first gym I've seen with a full set of these. How many of those green Avanco 50s have you got, Dave?
4.
8, 10?
Got four 650s, I think. And obviously 25s, 20s. Yeah, there's not many of those around anymore.
Nah, so we used to train with those.
So it's a big fat calibrated 50 kilo.
50 kilo calibrated plates.
Yeah. Oof,
in chrome ones.
Oh, the chrome is
chrome.
Yeah,
mate.
Oh no.
They're 20.
I know.
They're 20
I got
years
FOMO.
old.
20 years old, eh? Just like Jackson. Yeah,
they were made as I was made. How good.
I'll last a lot longer than you too, I bet.
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Dave, so that's Genesis. Fantastic gym. But you as a powerlifter, some massive numbers.
Yeah, some fairly good numbers.
So your best squat was a 462 multi-ply?
Yeah, I squatted 462 multi-ply when I didn't get back into power. I was just better go back a bit, Jack. So I started lifting when I was 13. And I started doing
I've had this. We've had this yarn before. This was Dave's inspirational speech to me. No, I mean when you told me.
Oh right, yeah. I started lifting when I was 13, 14. I did Olympics and powerlifting. I think I weighed 52 kilos at 14 years of age, and I squatted 180.
Wow.
And that was in Baller, so there was no knee wraps. It was bandages and shit like that.
Yeah. How much training had you done before that?
About a year, I suppose.
About a year, yeah.
14.
Well, so what part of the UK were you from there, Dave?
That was in Bath.
Okay.
Bath, Bristol, around that way. Yep. And then when I was 16, I became a Marine Commando, and I served out in Northern Ireland, and I went down to the Falklands when that war was on.
Oh.
Wow. So that was 82.
Yeah.
Broke my spine and pelvis in 7 places, and was invalided out of the Corps in 89.
Yep.
And at the time, they said to me, by the year 2000, you'll be in a wheelchair. And I went back to what I knew was weight training. So I didn't compete until I bought the gym, made the gym. And then when I turned 40, I was training. And one of the lads, Johnny Kiss, that Jax knows, he was doing a comp. And I said, I'll go and do it with you. So I did my first competition at 40. And from there, just sort of carried on. Ended up 48. I squatted 462, benched 320, and great deadlift at 280. Fucking hate deadlift. And that won the WPC Worlds at the time.
Yep.
And that record still stands over here as an open record, and it also stands still in quite across the board as in the age category in all feds. I then re-injured went to Europeans, won that, re-injured myself, tore my pubic symphysis on both sides, which was rather nasty. Then I went to the British, and equipped lifting had finished then, really. So everyone was lifting raw. So if you wanted competition, you had to lift raw. So we ditched the kit, and I went back raw, and I was 53 when I went and competed again, and I squatted 380 raw, which at the time was the biggest raw squat in the UK, and I think still stands in the world as a number 1 squat. And I won the overall British that year at 53. And
that was GPC, GPC, GB, Great Britain.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, when I'm at Jax, I fractured my patella plate in my knee, and ever since then I've just almost gone downhill. Jax caught me at not my best, but
it let me keep up. It helped me keep up.
But we had. I mean, squatting was always my big thing. And I mean, I know Jackson's squat improved massively from us training together.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was supposed to have hip surgery in October, and they did an ECG on my heart and found it was going at 300 to 390 beats per minute in the top half. So I had an ablation where they burnt cells off, and then I've just now had a hip resurfacing, and I'm just back slowly trying to train again.
What's a resurfacing? It's not a replacement, is it?
No, it's not. It's stronger. They put metal over the ball, and they put metal around the inside of the socket, and it just makes it a lot harder. I mean, it's if you ever watch sport, do you know who Andrew Murray is? He's he won Wimbledon. He's won numerous professional tennis titles. He had it done, and I found a little bit of research on it, and they say that's. If you've got any chance of returning to lifting, it will be getting one of those done.
Resurfacing, yeah. So you've got the two ends metal. Are like metal on metal.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
You got a bit of oil in there as well, a bit of greased up.
Yeah.
So machine now, eh?
4 weeks of the rehab now.
Yeah,
so,
it counts as you're always lifting equipped now, Dave.
Always, yeah.
It's always equipped now. You can't go back to raw.
I've got my magic little card now to get through the scanners at the airport.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But you set them off, eh?
Yeah, but no, that was that's just a brief synopsis of what I've done. I mean, some of the best times I had was competing abroad at WPC, but also I wouldn't say I'd go as far as say I coached Andy Bolton, but me and Andy used to travel everywhere together, and we'd often tactically work out what he was going to do, and I'd be a psych man for the lifts, and we had some good times. I mean, he obviously the first man to lift £1,000.
You were there for that, Dave. You were his hype man on that one.
What was that like, Dave? Take us through that.
Just really good. I mean, we had a lot of psychology, because obviously you go to these big meets and lifters try and put you off. They try and out-psych you. You know, you guys have been there, you've done it. But with Andy, he had a massive squat. I mean, he squatted 551 kilos. He quit. His bench was always down.
Crazy.
But he had a massive pull. And our idea was that he would be the first man to pull £1,000. Well, what we did is we'd noticed that in a lot of his other comps, he'd run out of gas a little bit on the third pull. So he did his first opening pull. I can't remember what it was now. It's probably around about 390. And then we sit the second one out, and we just let everyone guess. So I said, right, let's go over to a little corner. So we went over to a little corner, put a towel over his head and over my head, and we just sat there. And people would say, we'd put a lift in, and then we'd miss the lift. And people would come across, what's going on? He's injured. So then the other competitors would do their lifts, and all of a sudden he put in 455 out,
nice.
Lift. Yeah,
love that stuff.
It's just psychological shit. Yeah, I love doing that. And yeah, an amazing thing to see. And I don't think we've seen anything really to equal it in the deadlifts. You know, in a proper deadlift. I mean, I know, you know, Benny Magnuson did 2.5 kilos more, but not in a full meet and with plates, which are a bit unusual. But you know, I mean, you know, Ben's an amazing lifter. Yeah, they were slightly unusual, but you know, it's in the record books. But you know, when you watch the lifting these days, and you see a lot of this stuff on West Side, you see a lot of the American stuff, you see some of the Finnish stuff that comes out, and some of the stuff in the UK and places like that. Some of the lifting is absolutely terrible, and the judging is awful. You know, and you see people breaking all-time world records, and they're miles high. You know, you guys have seen it, and it's a shame. It's a shame. It demeans lifting when you have people that you train and like, you know, my daughter look at a video and she go, "What's that, Dad? That's not a squat," you know, and they get given white lights for it, and you're like, you know, you trying to get strongman into the event. Lawrence Cholet went to a competition with me. A guy got given a 400 squat, which was probably 3 inches high from the front. Yeah, and he said, "Why did you get that?" I said, "It was politics." You know, it's pathetic. Yeah, and that ruins the sport. And it's a shame, because some of those guys are amazingly strong, and the referee just needs to retire. And it's the referee that I think should get the criticism more than the lifter. You know?
Yeah.
Well, and for you, Dave, who does the best reffing? So we don't normally delve into too much of the federation stuff. But what federations do you think have the gold standard when it comes to refereeing?
I believe at the moment the GPC is over here is a lot tighter, and the referees are a bit more experienced, and I would definitely go with the GPC over here. Yeah. I've got involved with a little tiny fed called the BPF, and I'm trying to help them bring their refereing standards up, because they were pretty poor. But how
many federations are in the UK at the moment? God, how long we got?
How long we got?
Well, you've got BPU, which is WPC. Yep. Obviously, you've got GPC. You've then got BPF, which is a small fed, which is related to the WPF, which is the big raw federation, which is quite a good fed. You've got BPO, then you've got BDFPA, drug free. You got another drug, like the IPF equivalent and stuff like that. There's a lot of feds. Yeah. And once again, the trouble is, you speak to most of the lifters, and most of the lifters know who the good lifters are. Yeah. And then you've got the lifters, you get the lifters that run from one fed and won't compete against this one and that one. And you know, the WPC now has brought out things like 3 meter knee wraps. And I think it's ridiculous. You know, because you break a record of someone that's wearing 2.5 meter knee wraps, and now they put out 3 meter knee wraps. To my opinion, my feeling on that is they just do it so they can break more records, so they can get more money off lifters, and lifters go, I'll go to you because I can lift more weight because I've got 3 meter knee wraps on.
Yeah.
The standards change, and going back historically, you look at some of the old stuff the old lifters did. It's comparable and better than a lot of the stuff today. I mean, I've seen things change a lot from, the old equipped lifting was something no thicker than a leotard. And it gave you maybe 20 kilos.
Yeah.
Now things have gone crazy. I mean, the sport's different in a lot of ways. And even with the raw stuff, I mean, you've got raw, which raw to me has always been with knee wraps. Everything's powerlifting started. People have worn knee wraps. Now you've got raw with sleeves. Then you've got raw with nothing.
Yeah, beer knees. There's a beer knees class as well.
God.
Yeah. Well, they call it raw, then there's classic. I think classic is knee sleeves.
Classic is sleeves. Yeah, classic is sleeves.
Classic is sleeves. Yeah.
But classic to me is what was there first.
Yeah. Knee wraps.
But it was never sleeves. We never had sleeves. We had knee wraps.
Yeah.
And we used to wear crepe bandages.
Yeah.
Literally the thing you put a sling, and that's what you wore.
Yeah.
And it's just gone crazy now. But it's almost like fast food. Everyone wants to be a powerlifter and compete and win something. So there's so many classes now. It's crazy.
And that's one of the big issues I have with fed powerlifting. It's ludicrous. Everyone's a winner. Everyone's got a record. There's so many classes.
Yeah.
And especially like you say, like for you guys, say you've got 10 different federations, and then you've got, well, how many weight classes have you got for guys? Say 11 or whatever, 10. Then you've got age classes within that, and then so every man and his dog is a gold medal, national champion, national records.
Yeah.
It's just the combinations are endless, and you just bounce.
But, I mean,
but Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but I had a look at 2010. It looked like you and Lee brokered a bit of a deal to join WPC and GPC together, or have some sort of
we tried to do that, and unfortunately, the guy in charge did not very well. The competition was great, but there was a conflict between Lee and the WPC, the guy that ran it then. They had conflict, and it never worked. And now there's absolutely no chance of doing it.
All right, yeah. So, but the other rules quite similar. The rules between GPC and WPC quite similar.
Yeah, the rules, like I say, WPC now is 3 meter knee wraps. And the only other thing is the GPC has a start command on the bench, which WPC doesn't, and foot movement in the squat. I think with the WPC, you're still allowed to step back. With the GPC, now you're not. Other than that, and the WPC now have a longer squat bar, longer, thicker 30 kilo squat bar opposed to a 25 kilo squat bar.
Okay.
But that's about it, mate.
Yeah, they're not really deal breakers, are they?
No, not at all.
If the two feds were going to do something together,
no, they would, but it won't happen because the people that run the people that run the feds I don't really think they want that, which in some ways is a shame, but I sort of get it really. Sometimes I think these feds are run by people for the for their own means, and it in some ways I understand, because a lot of people put a lot of work into it, but certain things about it I think is a shame. There's no sort of committees and stuff. It's all decided by one person now. Yeah, one or two people at the top. So it is become, and eventually they'll pass it on to someone else, I would imagine, or just stay in the background. Yeah. But, things change. Things just get harder. Certain feds, I think, just want to encompass everyone. So you have so many people lifting. You might have four different monoliths on stage at the same time, which is great in some ways because you turn over a lot of people, but the GPC tried it with, I tried it with 2 monoliths at one point, and yeah, you can get through stuff faster, but the trouble is when you lift, you want to be seen lifting, and you want people to follow you. But sorry guys, I'm trying to plug this back in. But when you get so many, when you get 4, 2, 3, 4 different things, you lose certain people. Whereas if you're, you put that effort into it, you want to be seen lifting, so you want people to watch you squat, watch you bench, watch you deadlift, and just focus on you, opposed to looking around.
Yeah,
but
100%.
It suits some people. I mean, the GPC over here is smaller than WPC. The WPC caters for a lot of other classes. It caters for a lot of different classes that GPC doesn't. But I just feel the GPC's wouldn't even go as far as say it's more elite, but it's you seem to get the refereeing standard I feel is better, and you don't have so many people. You don't have so many people in a bum fight looking for a class to lift in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I was because I'm a ref for GPC as well, and when I got my international accreditation, it was Lee Marshall who sat with me for a comp, and I've never been as nervous in my life as I was sitting with Lee, and just having that big silent giant next to me going, so what do you think of that? What do you think of that lift? And I'm like, it looked good, and I'm like, was it?
It's hard,
yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And he it was 2 of us at the time, and he ran us through our paces, but he was good. He was good. And it reminds me when I think of those times that Lee was always about the highest quality in reffing. And the reffing can make or break a fed, can't it? Shit reffing, shit fed. Great reffing, great fed. You can almost ignore every other piece that goes into running a fed and running a meet. But if you have bad reffing, the whole federation, the whole meet
But then some people don't want that. They want an easy ride, so they'll go to a federation where they feel they can get away with stuff.
Yeah, they'll look for it. Yeah.
I saw a video of yours, Dave. You were benching, and I sent it to Jackson last night. And
the pauses on the bench.
Pause looked like about 5 seconds. The guy got off his seat. The head ref got off his seat and came and looked. I was waiting for him to get a little measuring tape out just to make sure come to a stop. And I thought the IPF were bad, but we're good.
Where did you find that?
That's it, Greg.
Yeah.
That at the time was WPC. I think it was a Worlds in Bournemouth. It was in the Worlds, or it was a British. The Americans had come over referee. Well, I had a bit of history with some of the referees from going out and helping Andy. Andy Bolton got seen off. He should have won the WPO on probably 3 occasions. And Andy's very much, I'll leave it alone. He wouldn't get involved. But me, I'm like, nah, I'm not having this. Dave's
nickname is the Bulldog, so you can imagine.
We had one WPO competition where he was against Steve Goggins, and it all came down to the last deadlift. And we'd worked out the numbers, and I went over to Mike Sweeney at the time and said to him, what does he need? We worked out he needs to pull, I think he said it was 427.5 to win. And Mike said, oh yeah, that's right, he'll win by a kilo. I said, right, okay, fine. So we went back, put the numbers in, Andy pulled it, won the competition. 2 minutes later, called on stage. Second place, Andy Bolton. First place, Steve Goggins. What the fuck's going on? So I went across to him and I said, Mike, what's going on? We agreed that you needed to pull that. Oh yeah, well, the rules have changed and you have to win by 2.5 kilos. Well, what I said to him, we won't put on the podcast. And that was the end of it for me, really. And it does follow you. I try and tell my lifters, if you're not happy with something, come and talk to me. Don't have a go at the referees, because no one reacts well to someone having a pop at them. And it's better if someone's coach goes and says something rather than a lifter, because it's nice to be nice, unfortunately, and sometimes if you ever go at the referees, they can be vindictive. And that is what you saw was a little bit of that.
Okay, I thought that looked
we weren't sure.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything. But
it was held. Yeah,
Yeah.
at the time, I think it was 300 kilos or something. At the time, it was a British record.
But it flew up, you know.
Oh,
I think
307.
Jackson,
There were some fucking good benches.
He sat there for 20 minutes and then poof, you know. That was awesome.
Yeah, it worked out well. But
I've had a similar experience, you know, with I don't know if it was vindictive reffing or not, but I had to literally felt like I was sitting there for 2 minutes to the point where I almost wanted to. Yeah, you gonna say anything? You know?
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, you still watching? Yeah.
Where did you find that video? I've not seen that video for ages.
Oh, it was on YouTube. It was on YouTube.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was one with the 462 squat as well, Jackson. That was the one with us.
Yeah, it was in there. Yeah, that was a nice squat too, Dave. By the way,
was that one I lost?
You dumped the first one, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a big dump, eh? Yeah.
Fucking hell, yeah.
I know. And some bloke went flying backwards.
He broke his arm and everything, but I think that's only the second squat I've ever dropped.
Yeah.
And it was quite funny because Andy Bolton was taking the piss. And the next year he went and did it exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Dave's telling everyone else to stay with the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you take it out and it's just taken out wrong, and, you know. But
yeah, look like you lost your foot in there, right? It just went flying.
The Dave's squat is for people if you go and have a look at it, but it's for me it's almost what a textbook squat looks like, because it's high bar. Dave squats high bar. There's no low bar. His shoulders are too big. He can't get the bar down his back. It's high bar, very upright, straight down, straight up. I mean, I couldn't squat like that if I tried. Dave's just built to squat. It's mint. Like you say, you know, you squatted 180 at 14. That's ludicrous.
That's a sign. Yeah. That's a sign of a good squat coming. Yeah.
Dave, you so you did that 462.5 in comp. Was that the heaviest you'd ever done as well, like in the gym?
That's quite an interesting question. And again,
I know you guys train balls to the wall in the gym.
We do, but we don't often max out in the gym. We might max out on a double, we might max out on a triple, but very rarely. And I think before I squatted out, the heaviest I've been to in the gym was something like 410 in a half suit.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But 410 or 420 in a half suit.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, and like I say, Andy Bolton was exactly the same. He never maxes out in the gym unless it's.
I brought this up in a past episode. Yeah. So before the 1,000 pounds. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've had this conversation with you and him. What was the heaviest he pulled in the gym before that 1,000 pounds?
You won't believe this if I tell you.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Off season, so 12 weeks, say he was off season, would be like 16, 18, 20 weeks out for comp. He pulled 440 off a 4-inch block, which he found really, really hard. Yeah. So he pulled it off low block. Yeah. Off the floor in the 12-week build up to the comp, have a guess how much he pulled as a max deadlift.
Yeah. It was something I think we've talked about 360 or something. It's something stupid.
You're joking.
That's all he pulled, 360 for a single fast. I mean, he's got so many fast twitch muscle fibers that works for him. He burns out otherwise.
Yeah.
The trouble is, and again, me and Andy were chatting only a couple of days ago, and he always used to program people to train like that. And a lot of experienced lifters, and some of them would lose strength because it doesn't work for everyone. And you know, Andy realizes that and programs people a bit differently now, because a lot of people have to feel more weight. They have to feel if they pull 360 in the comp, they've probably pulled 340, 350 in the gym. But he was one of the few that would just never pull heavy. Never pull heavy in training. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
And to be honest, I carried that through to the squat, and that worked for me. Was not to squat your maxes in the gym. 2 reasons, I think. Do a max double, or do a max triple, or do a max. I mean, Jackson knows I like a bit of volume.
Oh, mate, it's great.
You know, do like a max set of 5 or max set of 8 or 12. You know, we'd max out on some ridiculous weights. I mean, I think my best squat was something like 320 for 10, just raw. And just doing the volume is, I love volume. But it's
I'm gonna quit this fucking sport.
But it's funny. I mean, when me and Jax were training, I mean, like I say, I was definitely nowhere near my peak, and Jax is strong and has the ability to be so much stronger. I mean, benching, deadlifting, squatting. I mean, when we used to do the heavy stuff, Jax would often like benching that would be better than me. I mean, early stages he wouldn't catch the squat really, but we would hit a lot of volume. And if he was stronger than me, say on a bench, I'd smash him up 20% lighter on volume, and we do the same weight for volume, and I would always outlift him on volume. It's just how people are built. It's just different.
Yeah,
you know, I should have been a CrossFitter.
Yeah, you picked the wrong sport.
I was going to say, mate, yeah. First thing I thought of when I saw you. Yeah.
I just can't run. 35 years ago, I could.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing for me. Like, I mean, when I train I got my first 300 squat at Genesis. I got my first 220 bench, got my first 8-plate deadlift 340. So I had a lot of milestones at Genesis with Dave and the boys.
How much do you credit that success to being in an environment where that's expected?
70 kilos on my total in 9 months.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, and that was. So I came into Genesis actually.
You come in to watch a comp, didn't you?
I came in the February because I trained a couple of guys. I trained 3 dudes for this novice comp. 4 guys for this novice comp, and it just happened to be a Genesis. And I hadn't heard. I was training people in central London, and I was just training at the gyms that I trained at. So I had no idea what Genesis was. And then
were they fancy gyms, mate?
Yeah, mate, it was like Les Mills and shit. It was just
you're walking in with your latte and just just warm up on the bike, guys.
You know, ice cold water. You know, give you a towel to go and train. But it was the days. It's actually gym box.
I remember chatting to Jax at the competition. Said, "Oh, did you lift?" And we got chatting. And
do you
from
lift?
there,
do you lift? And I was like,
what it was, he had like a reasonably sized body, but he had a massive head. And I thought,
does he actually lift, or is he just that big from carrying around that fucking head all day?
Yeah. That's why you have to lift, Jackson. Otherwise,
so I have to. Otherwise,
balance out that head.
That's been one of my lifting goals forever, to make my head look normal size, and I think I've actually somewhat made it now.
You need your shoulders to be the same size as your head.
Yeah.
But no, we just, and I said to him, why don't you come and do a few sessions with me?
Yeah.
And from that moment, I mean, like I say, we trained for about a year together, and I've had some good training partners in my time, and Jackson's definitely one of the best. But he used to, what I liked about Jax is he used to travel from central London to my gym, which is what, hour and a half, 2 hours?
Oh, it was just over an hour each way, about an hour and a quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if obviously we've got jams on the tube, it could be 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
So like 10 Ks or?
Yeah. It's not far in London, but it's ridiculous.
It just takes forever.
Yeah.
But we trained 4 times a week. Jackson was never late and turned up for every single session. And we trained, we didn't talk shit. We came in, as Jackson used to say to me, we're not here to fuck spiders, which was one of my favourite sayings.
I taught Dave a few New Zealand sayings. Like we were training one day, and he was like, "Oh, what weight are you going to do?" And whatever it was, say it was a set of 10, and he was like, "What weight are you going to do?" I was like, "Oh, 250 or whatever." And he's like, "Oh, I thought you'd go a bit lighter now." I'm like, "Mate, we're not here to fuck spiders." That was their saying from then on. When
I always thought that was an Aussie saying, eh? We've had this.
No, don't let the Australians steal it, Greg.
I thought Marcus always says it, and I'm like, where the hell did that come from,
mate? It's like Pavlova, number 8 wire, far lap. It's New Zealand.
Don't fuck spiders. All right.
No, we're not here to fuck spiders. It's a New Zealand saying. They'll try and take it, but it's a New Zealand saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Jack's turned up for every session, and it was just great. It's one of the best times I've had. And like I said, the only thing I regret is that I wasn't peaking better than I was at the time, because we pushed each other, whether it was on weight or volume or whatever, we pushed each other. And it's just really refreshing to have a training partner like that. And when Jax left, I struggled. I mean, I had a few months where I didn't really have a training partner, and training was just pretty shit. And then I found Carl Thompson, and a guy called Gert Kovac. I don't think you ever met him, Jax.
No,
But
they
he
turned up after I did.
Yeah. I mean, Gert is a Lithuanian? No, Estonian lifter. He's a IPF lifter, lifts raw and equipped, 130 kilos, vegan, amazing.
What?
I tried that shit once. It nearly killed me.
How the hell did you get to 130 with it as a vegan?
Mate, I'll tell you what. That's what his missus makes him all the food, and but he's a good guy. He just loves his lifting. And he was like, Jax, turn up all the time. It's so rare that you find someone that could be that committed.
People are flakes.
Yeah.
You know, people just any excuse to get out of it, especially like, because I mean, we trained hard. Like, I don't mean to blow our own trumpet, but like we trained hard. Like, we'd do our squat or our bench or our deadlift or whatever. It was almost like 2 workouts. Like, the first bit was, you know, a heavy whatever on a squat or a bench or a deadlift, maybe a couple of sets, maybe a down set, whatever, and then the rest, you know, so you spend like an hour or whatever doing that, and then the next hour was just like me and Dave trying to fuck each other up for an hour.
Right, let's try this exercise. Let's do that one. Yeah.
Wait. Okay, you're going to make me do that. Well, how about we do 20 reps a set on that one? Or how many reps can you do on that seated row stack? I bet you I can beat you, or whatever. You know, just
I've actually noticed that. I've noticed that in the program you gave me, Jackson, is you've got the big foundational compound thing in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, and that might take up the first hour, and then the second hour is pretty much a free for all. Yeah, I know you've got some structure to the program there, but I know you've told me in the past, just go nuts. You know, whatever you can manage for the day.
Have you got him doing the sets of 50 yet, Jax?
No, he hasn't graduated yet. He's only squatting 170.
That was a bad day. That was just a bad day. Bad day. Yeah, bad day. Yeah. I'm going to always be known for the guy that did 170. I've done 280. Yeah. A long time ago.
But no, I think people miss that a lot. Like, why do you have to train for just strength or just hypertrophy?
Yeah.
I mean, more muscle moves more weight, and more weight then makes more muscle. So why would you not just do both?
I think a lot of powerlifters are inherently lazy.
Yeah.
To do they take an hour and a half to do 6 sets of squats and something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do know it's
is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
Hour and a half. Yeah, no, you're right. I've seen it. Yeah, actually, the hardest working guy in my gym would be a bodybuilder. You know, and if he was to apply half of the intensity into a powerlifting workout, he'd be world champion. This guy's a monster.
I think, like a lot of powerlifters inherently lazy, and then a lot of bodybuilders for some reason are scared of heavy weight. I don't know if it's because they don't want to learn the technique to make it safe, or you know what I mean? Like, they just, for some reason, are scared of lifting heavy weight. I think they've got it beaten into their heads that'll make them have like a blocky waist, or
I think there's so much information out there. It just gets too confusing. You know, you hear people like Phil Heath and other bodybuilders who just use machines, and you know.
Yeah, but that's.
I mean, do you guys get involved much in like bands and chains and different stuff like that?
Not really. I know that we did for our max effort stuff, but like we did it very sparingly. We pretty much just used straight weight. You know, I mean, that trumps all. I think.
I think so. I agree with that. Yeah.
It's I mean, it's hard to judge otherwise. How do you know you're progressing?
Yeah.
I think one of the worst things you can do is things like reverse bands. I was training with one of my training partners, and we did a reverse band raw squat. It was like 455 at the top.
Well, what's the point?
It was not I would say easy, but it wasn't hard. And there's no way you were going to squat that in comp. You know.
No.
It doesn't make sense because you're deloading the point that you actually need to be strong. If you're equipped, I understand it. Yeah, raw. Yeah.
Do they have their place though? Are you completely eliminating the need for these bands and trainers?
No, I think they can. They make things a bit different and a bit interesting. But I wouldn't build my build up for a comp around that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And like I say, I think they often people almost, you see people doing box squat after box squat every single session, and they come to a competition, they fall over backwards, or they never get anywhere near depth.
Yeah. They could always ask for a box and some of the fizz.
But sometimes you put a 70 kilo chain on a squat, and it's a bit different. It
looks pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But
you can't use it in a competition.
I would do it for something for bit of a change and a bit of a shake-up, but I wouldn't build a routine around it personally.
Yeah.
But people are always trying to reinvent the wheel. You go back 30, 40 years to some of the more original lifters, and the weights they were shifting were massive. And someone said to me, if you look at the physiques of an equipped lifter against a raw lifter, especially some of the older physiques, the actual raw lifters look like they lift weights, whereas a lot of equipped lifters don't really. They look quite soft.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things with raw is that it's come around to. Sorry, you do almost have to train like a bodybuilder because you can't afford to have any weak points.
No.
You know what I mean? Whereas, like, say, obviously the suit doesn't do the work for you, but say in the bottom of a squat, when you've got a suit on, I mean, you can afford to have like slightly shitty hips or like slightly weaker glutes or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're raw, you're supporting yourself. You can't afford that.
Yeah.
So
would you say equipped is a good option for an older lifter, perhaps with
injuries for sure?
Injuries,
I think
you know what I'm totally undecided on that because
good. Here we go.
Being equipped, you're going to lift more weight, so certain parts of your body are going to be under a lot more pressure. Getting in and out of kit is massively stressful and massively pressurized. But then I'd agree with you. It protects you to some degree. So I don't really know. I do think that all lifters should lift equipped at some point.
Yeah.
Call yourself, just call yourself a completely rounded powerlifter. You should feel the stress of getting a fucking bench shit on, of getting a squat shit on, or getting it off. It's hard work, and it changes. Trying to get to the bar, getting your briefs on and your suit on, and 25 minutes to put a shirt on, and then benching and not being able to move around and do stuff, and then you want to go toilet. It's hard.
You just go in the suit like our last guest, Kathy Miller said. You just go. Because to take that bloody thing off would take too much trouble.
But the buzz suddenly of lifting is something that's out of this world. There's a massive buzz, and there's a bit of a fear factor because you're holding, 700 or 800 pounds that you couldn't possibly think of doing raw, but you're actually holding it in your hands. It's over your chest. So, and I think a raw lifter should come out of their kit. Sorry, equipped lifters should come out of their kit and do raw comps. And I think you'd get a good crossover. I mean, you're actually seeing a little tiny bit of a resurgence in the UK now of equipped lifting.
That's good.
Where I think people have seen, some of the raw numbers have got amazing, and people think I can never get to there, and they put a bit of kit on, and they go, "Well, I'm going to try and chase the kitted side of things." And you don't always see, not always do you get someone that's super strong raw is not always a top person in kit. Because they don't always use it properly. I've seen some very weak people. I remember talking to an American at one of the world championships. He said, "Oh, what do you bench raw?" I said, "I've done 240 raw in training." And this is when I was lifting equipped. And he said, "Oh, what you after bench press wise then? Like 900 pounds?" I went, "No." I said, "I'll be happy with 700 pounds." He said, "Oh my God." He goes, "I bench press 180 raw kilos, but I benched 362 equipped."
Jesus. Yeah.
So it's so different.
Yeah.
It's so different.
Yeah. I could bench in the heyday. I could bench 190 raw, but got 270 in a shirt. Yeah. And
that's about that's gonna be
well, that was only single ply though, Greg. Yeah.
That was only a super cat. Yeah, that was only a single ply super. Yeah. I never got around to doing the multi-ply. Ended up giving it away.
That was one of the things I was a bit disappointed about when I left the UK, because I'd just done obviously the British Raw, etc. And me and David talked, and then done London Strongest, and then me and David talked about, me getting into some kit, because Dave had kit that would have fitted me, all his old kit, and so I was like, get in one of those double ply Inza shirts, and just I would have loved to have benched like 300, because what was your best bench, Dave? 330,
320 in kit,
320 in kit.
That's awesome.
Huge.
Yeah.
What shirt was that, Dave? Do you remember?
That was a metal shirt.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a metal Jack, I think it was, or Metal Jack.
That sounds familiar, right? If someone's listening to this going, where do I start with equipped lifting? What would be your recommendations?
I would say that they started off second-hand kit, see what fits, what suits you, a lot of people say, go into single ply. Single ply is more vicious. I mean, it's almost worn tighter, I think, and the way it's made, it cuts you a lot more.
Yeah, bites in more, definitely.
Yeah.
I'll be black and blue. Black and blue I was when I was wearing my kit.
Yeah.
After an event, got being beaten
definitely
up by the missus.
I know. But with poly kit, I would go for like Inza or metal. I mean, I always wore metal stuff. I got sponsored a little bit by them for a while. And just learn your kit, take your time. Maybe start off in briefs or no briefs and a half suit. And don't have it super tight because that throws people off, throws a line off, and then just slowly build up and get used to it. I mean, we to be honest, we probably never really got the full advantage from our kit because we used to throw it on 12 weeks out from a contest and train in it. But up until then, everything was lifted raw. And guys now are posting massive squats and stuff like that. And when I look back to the old training diaries, you think, okay, no, I was doing that, 25 years ago raw. And it didn't mean anything then because everyone was focused on equipment. Now you've got, obviously, raw is the big thing. But I think equipped lifters need to train. I tend to say to my guys now, you do 2 weeks raw and 1 week in kit. And then you vary the type whether you're wearing like half suit, briefs, no briefs, straps up, straps down. So you just vary the sort of the volume and the type of equipment you're using, really. That's sort of basically how I program people in the kit these days.
You guys were ridiculously strong raw. I remember seeing a video of so Dave mentioned Johnny Kiss before. There's a video of Johnny doing I think off the top of my head it's a 305 Zercher squat.
Yeah.
You know what a Zercher squat is, right, Greg?
Yeah. No, take me through it again.
The weight, you hold the weight, you have your arms like this, like in a half curl position, and hold the weight in your elbow.
Elbow. Jesus Christ! And he had Johnny, a bloody in his elbows.
305. Full depth, 305 Zercher squat, all the way down, all the way back up.
That's crazy strong.
How ludicrous is that?
Yeah.
So this was one of the things that, especially when I was training, and then there was Alan as well. Alan just loved it. He was the hype man. I mean, I was on the receiving end of a few face slaps from Alan and Johnny, I think at some stage, when I was going for big benches or a PB squat or whatever.
Did you ask for that, Jackson? Did you ask for
No, it just happened. I think I almost got into a scrap.
They probably didn't like you very much.
Yeah, I almost got into a scrap with Alan one time, I think, because he smacked me. But I mean, when that training environment with all of you guys, I think, I put 40 kilos on my squat. You know what I mean? It's ludicrous.
I think there's a lot to be said about being in a strong environment, like we touched on before, right, Jackson?
Strong environment and
and
experienced lifters. I mean, Dave's one of the guys who I always say it's one of those things where it wasn't a coach, but one of the more experienced guys who took me under his wing, who I was very lucky to have. And so I got my first 300 squat there, and then I think end of the year, my previous best in comp before that was 295. And then by the end of that year at the British, I did 335. And then got the highest total at the British finals. It was actually quite funny because there was us, and going into that finals, we had this wee training crew, and there was me, who I ended up having the biggest total in the guys, and then we had Winter, who she was Iraqi, and she had the biggest total in the girls.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even two British people that won.
No, it was weird.
It was hilarious.
So how does that work? Because I know the conversations come up here in New Zealand about leading internationals in to entering a national comp.
I think it's a hard one. But I think if they're living here, Winter lived here for years. Jackson was over it for 2 or 3 years.
He's still a bloody tourist, though, eh? He's on a working visa, weren't you, Jackson?
Yeah, I always had an end date, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, they tried to charge me something because I was working as a PT, so like they tried to charge me something ludicrous to try and get a business visa to stay, and then they wouldn't include that doesn't come with a partner, so I would have had to employ the Tash and then pay for hers as well as a sponsorship, and I was like, nah, sorry, team.
Yeah.
I like training with you, Dave, but not.
But I mean, the same thing happened to Gert. Kuvat, he had the same thing. He was over for a few years, and then his missus lost a job, and then the visa expired, and then, like you said, they had to pay a fortune to try and
stay. Yeah,
try and stay, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
You know, like I understand the immigration thing of that, you know, they want jobs for the locals and stuff, but like I wasn't taking anyone's job. I was finding my own clients. So it's one of those things. It's that grey area where, you know, you're not going to keep everyone happy.
What you should have done was go to France and then row yourself back over on a little rubber boat.
Come
and
back.
You could have stayed here indefinitely. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Then you're a immigrant.
Yeah.
I'll say as an immigrant, a refugee, and then I'm good.
Yeah,
that's it. Free accommodation.
Running away from scary New Zealand.
Did you say rubber boat? I think it would have sunk. Eh?
Yeah. I wouldn't have made it. I would have got tired. Though.
Yeah, it's cardio. Jason doesn't do cardio. So there was no fallout, from having like a Kiwi win the London Strongest Man and
there
British Finals.
Wasn't no. No, it probably will be now. They probably just realised it.
Probably didn't realise. Shit, he wasn't even.
This bastard doesn't even live here anymore.
It's right up.
No, I'm a helmet has been now. I'm washed up. Ex-strongest man. You know, it's been 2 years now.
2 whole years. What are you now? 23 now?
Yeah, just turned. So you guys, obviously, just gone back into lockdown.
God,
so
literally 4 o'clock, I was driving home and someone rang me up and said, can I rent some kit? I said, what are you on about? He said, oh, you're in lockdown. I said, no, we're tier 3. He went, no, they just had a big announcement by the government.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they just closed everything off. It's just, it is. It makes none of it makes any sense anymore.
So there'll be no London Strongest Man 2021?
No. Well, there will be, but later on in the year.
Later in the year. Usually it's January, isn't it? Yeah.
It's not normally January, yeah. So do you want time to train for it?
Yeah. Just so I can plan my peak properly.
Yeah.
So you've got I heard you talking earlier, Dave, about maybe 6 weeks, eh? Is it 6 weeks, you think? Of lockdown?
Well,
or 2 weeks, or a 2 week and then a review, eh? That was what I saw.
They said 2 week in review, but the thing is, they've done this before, and it's like they don't want to say it's going to be 6 weeks because people go absolutely go mad. So I think, like they did last time, they go, it's 2 weeks, and 2 weeks. Oh, the rate's still too high. It'll be another 4 weeks. I mean, parts of Scotland and Wales are locked down for 6 weeks. So yeah, I think it'll go back up. It'll be 6 weeks again.
Yeah.
The trouble is, so many businesses are going out of business and closing and stuff like that. I mean, I reopened the gym, and the footfall was a third of what it should be. You know, so you know, they give you a bit of help if you're closed, but if you're open, they don't say how's your business going. You just have to live with it. So it's just there's so many people that are going to go under.
Yeah.
It's pretty shit, really.
Yeah, I was talking to Lee Marshall the other day, and he had the same issue with him with his gym. Just having, he can't survive much longer if this carries on.
No, but there'll be so many people that can't. There's so many people already gone under.
Yeah,
it's just ruining the economy. Ruining it. You know, for a virus that doesn't kill 99.7% or something. It's just. Yeah.
Well, my wife is English, and her family. I think out of the family, I think it feels like there's a new one who's got it and then got over it almost within a week or so. Yeah. So it's but saying that there are some vulnerable members within her family, like my wife's mother is a bit ill. She's going through chemotherapy at the moment, so she needs to stay away from things. But the nephews and nieces, a lot of them have caught it and got over it. And moved on. But
from what I see, what we've seen it's just another. It's just another form of flu, and 40,000 people die of flu every year anyway. All of a sudden, the figures now are 14,000 died of flu, and everyone else has died of COVID. It doesn't. Things just don't match up. And there's so much. I mean, I've got a guy that trains with me. He's a heart specialist doctor, and when he's heard about the latest lockdown, he said, "This is it doesn't warrant it." And this is someone who's right at the top in the sort of medical field, dealing with that sort of stuff. And when you hear people, there was a guy I know. He went for a test, didn't get to the test centre because he had an issue with his children. Turned around, went back home. 2 days later, he got a positive test through the post.
Oh, you're kidding?
How do you work that?
Yeah.
There was a girl that did a little experiment. She took 6 tests, 3 were positive and 3 were negative.
Yeah, I've seen that with some American friends have done that as well.
Yeah.
So different tests.
I don't know. And the trouble is now people are like going, nah, leave it alone, go away, start again.
Yeah.
But
I think we've been quite lucky over here, Jackson. You probably agree. I mean, we've had
mate.
a couple of lockdowns.
I mean, the thing is that we're very well equipped to deal with something like that. I mean, we're an isolated island, miles from anywhere, very sparsely populated, except like one city. So we can easily deal with anything like that.
I mean, we're an island just like the UK, but obviously with a tenth of the population. So
so everyone's much more spread out. It's much easier to put people into different regions and stuff, like when we had the Auckland lockdown versus the rest of the country, I mean, and people, it's much easier to convince 4 million people to listen than 60 million like the UK, So it's one of those things. I mean, eventually we're going to have to learn to live with it, aren't we? You can't.
We are. Yeah.
No, you are. But
so Dave, I hear a little rumor that you trained the Rock at one stage, eh?
Yeah.
You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, no, he came. His manager came to the gym one day and said, "I can have a look around." I said, "Yeah, sure." I said, "What's up?" He said, "Oh, I've got a few actors who want to train in a hardcore gym." I said, "Okay, mate." So I'm walking around with him. He said, "Do you want to know who it is?" And I went, "I don't mind. Yeah, go on. Who is it?" And he said, "Oh, it's Dwayne Johnson." And I went, "Who?" He goes, I'm thinking, yeah, great. He goes, "Dwayne Johnson." I went, "No, I've not heard of him, mate. I'm sorry." He goes, Don't you watch?" I said, "I don't watch much telly." And then he goes, "Oh, it's the Rock. He's known as the Rock." I went, "I think my little boy's mentioned him, isn't he? Isn't that like children's wrestling or something? One of those made up sort of programs." He goes, "Yeah, that's it." I went, "Oh, yeah, okay, all right, mate." And, I'm thinking, "Oh, this will be really good." So anyway, they came to the gym. I met them, and he trained for a couple of days. And he goes to me, "Oh, Bulldog, can you take me through a squat session?" And we ended up doing a couple of leg sessions. And he was really down to earth, real nice fella. He texted me a message after the next day saying, "Hey man, I can't get off the can." He was he just came across as a decent guy. I mean, he's 6'2", 6'3". Looks a lot bigger on telly. He's got very round delts, big biceps and triceps, but quite narrow shouldered. But he doesn't really come across on the screen like that. And he squatted. He was all right. But just nice to meet someone like that. Yeah.
Do you get a lot of that? Do you get a lot of people from all walks of life coming through the gym?
You've had some pretty big names in there, Dave. You've had Kevin Levrone.
Yeah, I had Kevin Levrone. Yeah, he came down to train with a few people.
I remember when we did the qualifier that I did at my first comp at Genesis before I came and started training there. I just started training there just before the comp. We had that seminar with Brandon Lilly.
That's right. Yeah.
That was a good seminar. Actually, Greg, we need to get him on here. He'd
be good.
He's good value.
Okay.
Yeah, we had him come in, and he did the seminar on the Saturday, and then stuck around and watched the comp on the Sunday. Had a yarn.
Nice.
I mean, I've had him. I've had Eddie Hall's been down there. I had a comp where I had Benedict Magnuson, Terry Hollins, Lawrence Cholet, and I can't remember the other one. There was like four like international strongmen at the gym.
Oh,
which
you've
was
had
good.
you had Aussie strength coach and Thor come in, yeah?
Yeah, they came down, did a lecture. That was quite
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean,
Thor,
it was
like
quite interesting.
Hathor did a
Yeah.
lecture.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, straight. Don't laugh. I did. He
I just didn't think he talked much. That's all.
Aussie strength coach did the entire talk, and then they split up, and he took half, and Hathor was coaching the other half, and I was watching, and I'm thinking, nah. And I went and I said to him, do you want a hand? He went, oh yes, please, Bulldog. He goes, I don't like coaching. I don't like talking.
Well, yeah.
You know, fair play to him, and I ended up.
Yeah.
Not every great athlete's going to be a great coach, eh?
No,
So,
no.
Let me look
But
at me.
he was he was all right. He was, you know, decent fellow. But I mean, I've refed at Europe's and quite a few of the Giants live events, so you sort of get to know those guys. And I mean, that strength is a different level again. It's amazing. You know, I don't think people appreciate how big these guys are sometimes, and just the awkward shit they shift. It's amazing. I mean, Lawrence Charlie's a good mate of mine, and I mean, we used to trade legs together, and we had some cracking sessions. But see some of the stuff they do on the strongman circuits, it's incredible. You don't really get a feel for it on the celly, but when you're there and you look at the equipment, you look how thick the handles are and how awkward some of the stuff is. It's incredible. They're proper strength athletes.
How do you rate Jackson's chances of taking these boys on?
2 years. 2 years, he'll be there.
The hilarious bit was when we did London's. It was actually a qualifier for Britain's Strongest Man.
That's right. Yeah,
right?
And it was the next weekend, and so I won. And then Dave's like, "All right, mate, what are you doing next weekend?" And I said, we were traveling somewhere. I think I was definitely busy." But and I was like, "Why is that?" And he's like, "Oh, Britain's Strongest Man's on in Birmingham." And I was like, "Oh, what's the events?" And I think it was like, you know, whatever it was. And then one of the, like, say the max deadlift, and I was like, "Oh, what's the starting weight?" And he's like, 370. And I'd pulled 355 as my PB, and I was like, "Nah, I'm good. See ya." You know, stone run. What's this? You know, I'd done I think a 150 stone for like 4 or 5 reps. I think so. I think I'd done maybe a 160. Do we have 160 there?
Yeah. We had a 160,
so I think I'd done the 160 for a couple and the 150 at comp for like 5. And I said, "Oh, what's the starting?" Yeah, and the starting weight for the stone run was like 165. And I was like, "Oh, so what's it go up to?" He's like, "Oh, 220." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no, I'm out. Sorry, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Definitely busy. I'm getting my hair cut." You know, like
that's who would have won that? The Strongest Man.
Oh, I think it was Eddie Hall that year, wasn't it?
Eddie Hall, eh? Okay, yeah. Do you think there's good, Dave? Do you think there's good crossover between strongman and powerlifting? Do you think they can both go both ways, or is it more strongman make good powerlifters, but powerlifters don't make good strongmen, or is it?
Excuse me.
I would say,
with the notable exception of Jackson.
Other than Jackson, no, I'd say a lot of strongmen would make really good powerlifters.
Yeah.
Because Graham Hicks is a good example of that, eh?
Graham's very good.
Yeah.
Like I say, Lawrence was a good example. But I don't. I'd love to see Eddie doing a powerlifting comp because I think he put some huge numbers up. But I don't think that many powerlifters would make good strongmen.
No.
You know, there is some that carry out costs, but on the whole, no.
To be a good strongman, I mean, you can be like I would say I'm an okay example of being an okay powerlifter that you wouldn't at the start of my powerlifting. We'll call it a fucking career, but it's not. At the start of my powerlifting journey or whatever it is, you wouldn't have said I was going to be a decent powerlifter. But you can like genetically I wasn't built for it, but you can work and put enough hard work in and technically get proficient enough to be a decent lifter. Whereas to be a good strongman, you've got to be genetically gifted. I mean, these guys are 6'8", 6'9". They're 180 kilos just standing there, you know, like without even trying. So you have to have that frame to be a good strongman because the events are all uniform sizing, you know, like, so if I'm 6 foot and I'm trying to get a stone over a 1.5 meter thing, well, it's at my head height. Whereas for Thor,
that's
who's
what
7
they did.
foot,
Yeah.
you know,
That is,
it's if you get a natural 18 stone guy, train, put on some size, and end up at 25, 26 stone, that's a massive guy. But if you get a guy that's naturally 12 stone, ending up at 25, 26 stone, that's someone that's going to fucking die pretty soon and not be able to move.
Exactly.
I mean, when I first met Lawrence, he had the old original farmer boy strength. He could move shit. You know, he was a naturally big, strong guy. And now, you know, the size of these guys, they're just. I'm surprised that Maori's doing it because, you know, some of these guys are absolutely huge. And
funny you say that, Dave, because last week we had a big boy on Wade. And he sits comfortably at 170 odd kilos.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And he's 6'3", was he, Jackson?
Right. Yeah, 6'3".
Yeah, 6'3", and he just picks stuff up like it's nothing. And it's someone's
it's just brute strength. I keep saying to him, dude, you're literally like a big cannon, and you just need to be pointed in the right direction, and you'll be good at whatever you do. You know, I mean, I think he tried to go to that combine for the NFL and just bad timing and didn't get in. But you know, like whatever he gets pointed at, he'll just do well at it. He could go and do boxing. He could go. He could do whatever the fuck he wanted.
Don't you find it frustrating though when you meet someone like that and they never push, they never realize their potential?
No, they don't apply themselves. Yeah. But then it's someone like Wade actually works really hard. And like you say, you know, say like Andy. I remember talking to Andy at some stage, Dave, and he pulled something ridiculous the first time he ever deadlifted.
Well, he pulled something like 410 at 19 years of age.
There you go. What the fuck is that? What is that? Like, how do you compete with that?
The more I do it, the more I realize.
I've always said this with deadlifting. It's more about leverage because most big deadlifters pull their big deadlifts within 5 or 6 years of starting lifting.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, if you think about it, he was 19 and pulled 410. It took him another 20 years to put 45 kilos on his deadlift.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah. But then you can add how much more can you add to your squat by hard work and bench press?
Yeah.
A lot more than that.
Yeah.
What was your first deadlift, Jackson?
Dude, fucking nothing.
Yeah, so you must be an exception to the rule there, right?
To be completely honest, when I still vividly remember when I first did a bench press, I got pinned on the 3rd rep of the 20 kilo bar.
Wow.
I had to get. I was like, my first 2 reps were shaky as, and 3rd rep I was up here on my upper chest, and my arms are like fucking skew whiff, like, and I couldn't get it off. I had to get one of my mates to take it off. Luckily, he was obviously behind me. You know, we trained in a group of like little 16-year-olds in the gym. Oh, what's this do? But I've
seen that a few times. So,
you know,
I think
I didn't do a deadlift for the first few months of training. Probably I wouldn't have even thought about it. And then it was probably 60 kilos. That's just what you saw everyone else starting at, and that would have been hard as. So it's definitely one of those things that some people are just far more gifted for it than others.
Because you talked about the guy Andy, Wade. I think even Odell we had on a few episodes ago. They would have walked into the gym and picked up the heaviest thing that the heaviest guy was using and said, "What else? Is that how you do it?
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when those guys work hard that you see what's actually
the magic
possible.
Game.
For me, I'm quite happy in the fact that I'll probably never be the best of the best. I'm probably a much better technical coach as such than I can be a lifter, because if someone like Wade got the technical stuff that I've built over the last 10 years, he'd blow me out of the absolute water. You know what I mean? So I think people just sort of forget how strong these guys actually are.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot to be said about you having that knowledge, Jackson, and you've taken that knowledge to the extreme and maximized your abilities through technical expertise, and you can take it as far as you can, whether it be a 1,000 kilo total or not,
whatever it is.
Whereas if you applied that same knowledge to somebody who's just got that brute strength, they might be hitting 1,200, 1,300 kilo totals in a few years' time, eh?
Yeah, everyone's got their limit of where they can get to.
Without doubt. But I think you've got to be back on that platform soon, Jackson. Hit 1,000 kilos.
Some stage, mate. I'm gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll do it.
I'll
I've
put
always said
something.
this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Sort of just focusing more on like coaching and the running some comps next year. I mean that comp next year is going to be hectic. We've got like I said, we've got the Strongman crossover. I mean, I think Colm Wolf and Matt Rag and stuff. You might not have heard of them, Dave. They've done World's Strongest Man a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then Stan Cocker. So I think between the three of them, we've got the last decade of New Zealand's strongest men on a powerlifting platform, which is going to be hectic.
Who was the Maori that did Worlds years ago?
So there's Colm, there's Rongo Keane, but he's over in Aussie.
No, I can't remember his name now. You're going back probably 25 years, Jax.
Oh, I was eating crayons. I mean, that was last week.
Well, you still do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, we talked last week or 25 years ago.
Yeah. I'll have to look it up and come back to you on that one.
We'll put it in the comments when we realise.
Yeah. Who knows who this man is?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't remember his name now. But he was around when Reeves and all that lot were around competing. But he was good. Yeah. I'm sure he's New Zealand, not Australian. I'll try and find out for you.
So Dave, what are your plans for the next few weeks? You're probably just going to be surviving, you got some equipment you're going to lend out?
I'm about to go back down to the gym now, rent some equipment out to people that are screaming for it.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I've got a home gym which I've built, which has got a monolift in. It's got deadlift platforms. It's got everything. Have you been, Jack? Did you come to my house?
Nah, I never ended up coming out to your home gym, but I've seen pictures and videos and stuff. And it's better equipped than most like commercial gyms.
It's got everything in. I'm in the process of extending it, and I'll train here. I'll do stuff here.
Are you coach as well? Coach online or coach in person?
Do you know what? I'm not a massive fan of online coaching because I believe, and I've seen it where I've had lifters come to me, they're going, I'm coached by so-and-so, who's a good coach, and they're like great lifters, and you actually watch the technique and you think, that's absolutely shit. How do you, and I think coaching face-to-face is the only real way to do it. Yeah. It's different, I think, if you've worked with someone and you want to program people and you want to tweak programs because you know how the lifter is. But to get a new person online and watch it on video, no, not really. Not my thing.
No, fair enough. Yep.
Yeah. Dave's
go on,
sorry, no, I was going to say, you've been in the game obviously a long time. So you've I think Greg was touching on it before, you've worked with a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds. But obviously, from when I was training over there, there was us obviously at the sort of the top end, but I mean there was lots of down to like Lisa and stuff who are 50 kilo females, and they still train the same. So your training methods, would you say that you train people basically the same across the board because it works? Like people don't need anything super specialized, do they?
I don't think so, and I think, like I said, we went back before. Too many people try and reinvent the wheel, and they come up with these fancy exercises and different machines to use. And I think it comes down to hard work and pretty basic hard work. Certain people lack certain things where you need stronger hamstrings or you need stronger triceps. So you'll change the training program there, but massively no. I mean, I think girls can probably handle more volume than a lot of guys can.
100%.
And closer together.
Yeah.
But no, I it's just hard work, and unfortunately, so many people now don't want to do that.
No, people are worried about hard work, and I mean, people are always looking for that magic bullet, aren't they? But there's nothing that it's not sexy to sell and say, right, if you do this program for 12 weeks, and then we retest, and then we make it slightly harder. You do that for 12 weeks, and then we make it slightly harder, and you do that for 10 years, you'll be quite strong. That works. That's what me, you, Greg, that's what we've all done.
Yeah.
But people don't want to.
No,
you can't sell that to someone for $10.99 online.
No. It's fast food. What's the first thing they ask you?
I mean, I think one of the funniest things I think I figured out and said to someone once was, on the old supplement logos, they've sort of stopped doing it now, but on the thing it'd say increase your bench press by 1,000%.
Right, yeah.
in 10
Interesting.
weeks. And I think obviously we just said like I got pinned by the bar for 3 reps. And then like last year, well actually no, this year obviously, just before nationals I did 220 for 3. So I have increased my bench press by 1,000%. But it took 12 years. So it's it's not that doesn't sound sexy. Increase your bench press by 1,000% in 12 years.
No, exactly.
Without missing a training
you
session.
No, everyone wants everything needs to be like this now.
Kids want it, and that's the dark side. The dark side of the sport is they'll take gear. They'll go on gear, and they'll go on it far too young.
Far too much.
Too much.
And
then don't train. They don't train properly or eat properly or do everything else.
Well, you get kids coming to you saying, "Oh, can I say no? No, you need to do it. You should be doing this.
Yeah.
And then they'll go and bite off their mate, and you watch them. They come in like fat little water buffaloes.
Yeah,
and then they come off it. They lose everything.
Yeah.
And they don't come back and train because they feel depressed because they're weak. It's fast food society, isn't it?
Yeah.
No.
Powerlifting, fast food for powerlifting.
Probably a discussion for another day.
Yeah. Dave, we're going to let you go because it's been an hour and a half, and we want to let you get back to the gym. And it's been awesome having you on, mate. Really,
it's been really good. Really good to see you.
Yeah, that was a fun chat.
No, thanks for coming on, Dave. Especially for episode 10. I mean, now we're. I
suppose
we're here as a proper podcast now.
Yeah, exactly. We're nearly professional now, Jackson.
Yeah, I would argue. Yeah, I'd say.
Hey! Before we go,
I
wanted to. A friend of mine, Dan Rudolph, has given me this, which is a smelling salts called Devil's Breath. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, and I haven't opened it yet, Dan, and it's made in New Zealand. Dan Rudolph, KiwiStrength.com. He's also at the head of the IPL New Zealand as well, so it might be poisoned, but we'll see what happens.
Honestly, I fucking hate smelling salts. I would much rather take a face slap from Dave than a bash of smelling salts.
Yeah, this one says keep out of reach of children or little pussy ass bitches. This one says,
A guy at my gym made me some smelling salts once. He was a chemist. And I took
those are the best mates.
I took one sniff of it about a foot away and went, "Oh my God, that's ridiculous."
I haven't even opened it. I just loosened the cap and I can smell it.
I had a guy come in the gym because I've got any smelling salts, Bulldog. I said, "Yeah, mate, try these. Take a big sniff." He was on the steps outside the gym for an hour and a half being sick. I put this bottle in my cupboard and left it. Went back to it like a month later, and the plastic was melting inside the bottle.
That's got to be good for you, mate.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Yeah, of course it is.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Devil's Breath on the podcast.
Jesus, it's even got this on, and
it's still sealed. He still smells it.
It's sleeping out.
Right, come on, Greg. Don't fuck about. Big whiff. And we've lost him.
Wow. Dan Rudolph. Jesus, you bastard. Devil's Breath, everyone.
Is that the vaccine for COVID, is it?
Man, that'll kill everything. My eyes are watering. Yeah. All right,
probably put that down to COVID.
You want to squat 400, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, good to meet you, man.
Yeah,
all the best.
Thanks for coming on, Dave. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, mate. Take care. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Thanks, bro.